Well, this whole idea started with something you said to me. So you said I was one of the best voice actors that you had worked with. And I asked if it was like a groundedness in the way I deliver lines or my directability. And you said both, which is the whole point of this video was I wanted to break that down from both the production side and from the acting side.
Well, generally, working with every actor is different. But one thing that I have found that is universal is if your actor gives you a performance that's not at all there, it's actually easier to get them there from not there at all than it is to get an actor on the right page when they're close.
Yeah, I actually think it's easier as a voice actor to get that in general, because when they're like, oh, you're just a little bit off, and then you got to start like excavating their instructions to understand what they really wanted, because now as an actor you're trying to hear what they're hearing and also trying to get inside their head so you can understand what that little bit is and where it's coming from. And it's just it's not impossible, but yeah, it's more work generally.
I will never give a line reading to an actor, ever. But I will tell them notes on tone, on pitch, on quality, on volume. I will give them delivery cues. I will tell them words to hit, words to focus on, speed up, slow down. I'll direct the tempo. Tell them what's going on in their mind as it's happening, why there are breaks, where there are breaks. I get into the head of the character, what they're thinking at that moment.
Well, I feel like what I enjoy working with you is that because you can do all those different things, since every actor interprets things a little bit differently, I feel like sometimes you're just going down like the list of like, okay, she didn't get this direction, let me pop in here and see if that translates. Okay, let me try the next. You've got like 25 ways. And then I feel like at the end, if you don't get what you're looking for, at least with me, I felt like you did give me like 1 or 2 line readings and I was like, oh. And once I latched on, I like did it. But I don't think you do line readings in general, but you definitely sometimes when you did a couple for me and I was like, oh, like it did clarify what I needed. And I don't hate line readings. Unlike a lot of people, I feel like many actors really hate line readings, but if you can't get your message across, give me a freaking line reading. It's like whatever gets the message there, right?
Well, see, my problem is that I'm married to the material in that I'm not directing something somebody else wrote. I'm directing something that I wrote. I know these characters inside and out. I created them, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it's difficult for me to let the character leave the nest.
My actors feel that way about their own.
I have encountered with you on multiple occasions, and with a few other actors on occasion, where the performance that you give is actually better than what I had in mind, because when I hear it, I'm like, that actually informs the moment better than how I had framed it.
Mm. You're letting the actor bring something to the table.
Right.
Yeah. You had said, well, this whole idea started with something you said to me. So you said I was one of the best voice actors that you had worked with. And I asked if it was like a groundedness in the way I deliver lines or my directability. And you said both, which is the whole point of this video was I wanted to break that down from both the production side and from the acting side. So
I like the fact that you as an actor can give a grounded and real performance that's grounded in reality, first of all. But you're not afraid to go. You can be a cartoon. You are fearless. And you will take that from the rawest of the raw to Looney Tunes. You'll go you'll run the gamut to find what I'm looking for, the performance that I'm looking, and you don't you don't second guess. Like when I say try this or try that, you're not like, no, I really feel it's over. You're like, okay, let's do that. You go right with it.
So I'd say for actors, that's probably in large part a long history of improv, like just being on stage and getting random, like doing not just the classes of improv, but actually being on a team in live performances and having successful shows, because you start to understand that there isn't really anything can work in the right context. So you just might as well throw paint at the wall until you understand like what is going to make something happen. And sometimes unless you throw the paint, you don't know what's possible, you know?
I've talked to two other directors, people that have directed voice projects, and we commiserate on similar problems, and they tend to, both of them told me that they tend to think that it's an experience issue. And I could not disagree more, because I've worked with actors that had absolutely no experience whatsoever that were still, you could get them dialed in. Mm-hmm. And you could work with an actor that's got so much experience that it gets in the way because they think they know better.
It's the willingness to play, I feel like,
yes,
is the big thing.
Yes. It's the willingness. It's the willingness to play. It's the collaboration. It's the going where the part takes the performance.
Yeah, like the willingness of the performer to follow the ride, even if it's going somewhere you did not think it was going to go.
And see, that's what I'm saying is that for you, there's like, you are very similar to Tara Sands. Mm-hmm. She's the same way. Like she can go from the grounded, raw, real, literally to the cartoon, and she'll give you anything in the middle. Like, and all you have to do is get her on the page, just like you. All I have to do is get you on the page, and then you're locked in, and we're rolling.
Just running.
And you do a lot of really good second takes. And I honestly think that I could be wrong, but I think that you do a lot of really good second takes because I think you hear your first take.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, you were the one you helped my voiceover career in general because you said your first take is never the one. And like, that's another thing I'll mention for actors. If you get married to the way you do something first, or you get hung up on the way you do it, then you kind of lose that ability to hear and adjust. And when people give you advice, it might sound harsh, right? Because I got advice at one point, like from Dennis, that like your first take is never the one. Like throw out your first take. And I could have been offended by that. I could have, but it was true, because as a voice actor, 2 or 3 months down the line, you're going to listen to things you did 2 or 3 months ago with a completely fresh ear. And I heard it like 100% after you said it. I was like, oh my God, yeah. And then I just started doing that for most of my projects that I took on. I was like, okay, you know what? I'll record it, but I'm going to toss the first take and just do the second and go for the second take when I'm recording projects for clients. And like, when I'm in a Zoom call now, I'll be like, let me give you one more take of that. I just want to hear it. I just want to try it one more time. And it's usually that second take, like, it's golden.
I think that's because you've got a genuinely good ear. You hear that first take and you're like, oh, now I've heard the line out loud. Now I know what it needs to be. Okay. Because it's so much different hearing it in your mind, reading it on the page. When you hear it come out of your mouth, you're like, oh, now I get the line. Okay.
When we're talking like a rebooking factor, when you want to work with somebody again, it sounds like that is a big part of the reason, that there's a lot of adjustability in my acting style.
You have a lot of raw talent. That alone is a lot. But like I said before, I've worked with several actors that have a lot of raw talent that I will never book again, ever, because they're impossible to work with.
It's almost more important to have somebody who's like moderately talented but easy to work with. Would that be like a good way to phrase that?
I will, if an actor is still trying to get it and listening to what I'm saying and working toward the same goal, I'll give 10, 12, 14 takes. We're good. But if they're not listening and they give me 10 takes and it's the same take because they're not listening, then what are we doing?
Right. Or if they're married to a take because they believe they know better what it's supposed to be because they're very experienced.
Yeah. Sometimes it's real experience, and sometimes it's just a little bit of experience that to them at their age feels like a whole lot of experience.
As young kids.
I worked with young actors that are really, really good, and I've worked with young actors that have booked enough roles that they think that they've got this whole thing on lock. They know what it's supposed to be, and you can't tell them anything.
Well, now, I gotta say, as an actor with like any talent at all, you are gonna kind of go through that phase. You're gonna get real high and really excited about all the stuff you've done, and then you're gonna think and then you're gonna lose work, and then you'll start listening, and that's when the real talent can come out to play.
The talent is important, but being able to, every voiceover job, see, the stuff that I have done recently has been audio drama. Mm-hmm. So I'm directing a movie for your ears. That's a completely different skill set of directions and things that you have to follow to, say, like a radio commercial or a narration for a YouTube ad or an audio book. They all require a different skill set that you have to learn, and they each, sometimes you'll get somebody like me who wants to real-time direct you, but more often than not, you're going to get jobs where they send you a script and say record it, and then they'll come back to you and say, no, I didn't like it, do it again.
Yes, and that'll be after you've recorded, after you've edited, after you've done all the things, which is why when I do audiobooks or I'm working with somebody and they want to audition me for an audiobook, I just tell them to give me a page or a couple pages from your book. I'm going to record a sample, and then you tell me where you want to go with it so that we can get the directions locked in so that I don't end up doing 50,000 words and then just get the note to redo it all.
I will admit that I have developed a bad habit of, I listen really closely to every word that's delivered. And if you hit, and this is not just you, specifically, it's not generally you. There are a couple other people that it's a whole lot. But if I hear there's 26 words, and I hear all 26 words delivered at the tone, volume, and pace that I want, that sound of the delivery that I'm looking for, I'll be like, okay, well, I got it. Because I know that I can go in and cut those up and Frankenstein together a performance that will be what I'm looking for. Because I heard every word hit. Okay, I've got it now. And I know that's not as respectful as it probably should be, because I'm not letting you give that one dynamic take. Like we had on this one this morning, you were like, no, give me another chance. Let me get it.
Yeah,
and I was like, no, because you've hit all the parts. I can cut it together now.
And I was like, no, I really want to give you one actual take that you don't have to Frankenstein. Because yeah, I'll be honest, the voice actor, when I hear that you're like, I was able to Frankenstein it together, I'm like, I mean, good, like good, but also that's not what I want as an actor. I want you to be able to take my entire truthful, like full thought, take performance, energy, whatever, and use the whole thing. And but at the end of the day, it's if it's for your project, it doesn't actually. You got to kind of lose the ego as a voiceover actor. Like whatever that director, whatever that person wants for their book, that is their vision. And yes, you bring things to the table, but you are at the end of the day also trying to be of service to the project and whatever is going to make it what the vision of the person, usually the person paying the money, wants to see.
Well, I have to give you credit for your ear, because you are one of 6. Yeah, you're one of 6 actors that I've worked with that I have ever Frankenstein to take together that heard it and was like, what's wrong with that? That doesn't sound right. Like, that doesn't sound like me. Like, that's me, but that doesn't sound like me.
Oh, it's funny. Like, it's not AI, so what is it?
Because most of the time when I do that, I cut it together and an actor will listen to it and they'll just smile and nod. They're like, yeah, look what I did. They have no idea that I cut that together from like 7 different takes.
Oh my God.
But there's a handful. There's 6 that I've worked with that have listened to it and been like, I didn't do it like that.
I'm not sure exactly. I mean, well, I think too, as a voiceover actor, when you've heard your voice on auditions and you're hearing it in your own voice in your ear, at this point for me, it's been like 12 years. You know what you tend to do, and when something sounds either it's not even like it's better or worse than what you normally do. You're just like, that's not the way I talk. And then that's probably why voice actors are uniquely good at picking out AI, because they're like, there's a whole like rhythm and like there's a cycle in the way that this is talking that doesn't sound like a human talks,
Do you remember how you caught me the first time I did that to you and you caught it?
Was it on Veronica?
Yeah. Do you remember how you caught it though?
No, I don't.
You said I wouldn't have taken a breath there.
Oh, I do kind of remember that. Because I breathe a lot. You actually made that comment. I breathe more than most people, which is funny.
It was because you had done the first like 3 sentences perfect, and then you flubbed a word. And when you flubbed the word, you just stopped, went back, and started to take over again. So all I did was cut it there where you flubbed the word, and I took another take, but they didn't marry exactly. So I took your breath, your inhale, from another spot to cover so I could blend them together. And you were like, I didn't inhale there. That sounds wrong.
And that, by the way, like people should take note. That doing that as an audio producer, that is a lot of fine-tuned work that voice actors should appreciate, because if you've ever done your own editing for an audiobook, like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work whether you use any kind of AI tools. No matter what you do, it's going to be a lot of listening. And if you're not willing to do that, audiobooks may not be for you. Commercials and character work are a whole other story, but definitely in the audiobook world, whew, a lot of listening. But actually, that brings me into our next question. Defining groundedness versus directability. So groundedness to me is bringing a level of truthfulness. I'm a big fan of...
I said the method.
The method, right. I'm actually not as big a fan of that. I really like Meisner. That's kind of I think you should take a lot of different methods and you're going to combine them into whatever ends up working best for you. But for me, like Meisner makes a lot more sense, because Stanislavski is about reliving experiences, and you do somewhat need that, right? Reliving experiences that have caused you the kind of emotion that you need to bring forth in the performance. But when you're talking about Meisner, he's very outside in influenced. So it is literally just being yourself in imaginary circumstances. So it gives, in my opinion, for me, for my personality and what works for me, it gives a very like truthful performance because you are just acting as yourself under the stressors and as the characters, like different things that affect them. And
Meisner works well for people that have a very vivid and functional imagination, whereas Stanislavski works well for people that have a very good memory.
Oh, interesting. I've never heard that.
Because you're remembering and reliving it. You're not imagining. You're channeling. It's two different ways to get to emotional truth. In one way, you're channeling a true emotion that you actually felt, but you're channeling it for a false reason, acting. In the other one, you're actually imagining real circumstances that did not happen to you, but how you would truthfully feel in that situation. It's imagination versus memory. It's two different paths that lead to emotional truth through lies.
Mm-hmm. And I would say that like you kind of need a combination depending on who you are. And there's way more than just, I mean, there's more than just two methods. Like there's a lot of different ways that you can approach acting. But for me, Meisner is more helpful to you in a sound booth, at least for me, because I think when we were recording Veronica, all these different things were happening in the scene. And I remember when we recorded some of the big monologues, I was moving around the room as if things were happening over here and up here and down here and over here. And it helped feed the performance. And I think at one point I wasn't giving a great performance. I think it was when Veronica was rolling out of bed and she was yelling at the ghost that is usually her friend Lucy, and at Veronica Taylor's character. and I was like just so wooden, like the performance was not working. And you were like, just do the things, like start acting like you're brushing your hair and like you're putting a shirt on and doing the things. And it was amazing because it like took the performance from like, what are you doing, to like, oh yeah, okay, I can see the whole circumstance now. And it just worked. But that's where I think when it comes to bringing that truthfulness, it helps having a director that can come at it from a lot of different ways, because I think you do a good job listening to the ways that the actor needs to work. And you are very good at working with that. And I've listened to you now direct other people because we did combine sessions with other actors. And I felt like you adjusted the way that you directed, you adjusted it almost 100% for someone else.
Different actors work different ways, and if you're directing multiple actors, you have to. It's a personal relationship. It's a one-on-one. You're sharing that character for this story. You have to know how to talk to that person to access their talent, their ability, so that they can access that character the way that you see that character.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the thing is you can't get. Ultimately, if you're dealing with a director, then you're dealing with somebody that has a vision of the whole project, that knows where that character fits in the bigger story, where that scene fits in the bigger story, what the other pressures interacting and pushing on it, what that's going to be up against. And if you're recording in a solo session, you're not hearing what the other actors are giving. And oftentimes that was good for me. I got to record you first, so you literally set the tone for a lot of the other actors. So now I know what you're giving, so I know what they need to give for that scene, so that it doesn't sound jarring. It doesn't sound like two separate performances. It sounds like two people in a room.
Yeah. Yes, and I thought you did a great job, but that's something for voiceover actors, especially aspiring ones. If a director is giving you conflicting advice, like bring the energy up, but tone it down, I feel like it's the actor's job to excavate a little bit with the director, like what they need. So it's not just a one-way relationship. Like it doesn't have to be just like you giving direction and I'm listening and doing what you say. Like as an actor, you should be contributing your own ideas to build the world. right? So if you're having trouble with that, you need to ask the questions.
It's also, in my opinion anyway, anyone that's directing, and I don't care if you're directing, I went to film school. I didn't go to school for directing voice. I went to school for directing performance on camera. Mm-hmm. And I think the vocabulary is what's missing more often than not. Because you need to be able, you can't just say tone it down. What the fuck does that mean? What does tone it down mean?
Yes.
Is it the volume? Is it the emotion? Is it the presence? What are you working on toning down?
Yeah. What's the dynamic that's causing this, and how can I communicate it to the actor? But that's where I don't think actors have to be silent. I think directors appreciate the questions if they're not sure how to communicate things. Like, I remember asking a director when I was auditioning for their short film, you know, they were writing a film about two people who were in a marriage for a long time, and they were starting to feel distance. And my questions, because I was playing the wife, were like, well, what were her parents' love lives like? Like, does she come from a broken home? Does she like believe in marriage till the end? Like, what's her secret demons that she's battling with? And this director was like, oh, these are good questions. And I was like, well, it's just going to feed, right? Like how that person interacts to conflict in their marriage, right? And I mean, you tell me from your side of the aisle, like, do you feel like an actor who's asking those kinds of questions is going to usually gets a better performance at the end of the day?
Yes, always, always. I've been the actor asking those questions, though, from a director who didn't have the answers. And that's infuriating.
You know, this particular director that I was talking to at the time wanted to work them out together. Well, that was not what happened in your situation.
No. Mm-hmm. I am very collaborative in the way that, how can I put this? I'm married to what the scene is doing. I'm married to what the information that has to be passed on is. And I know that character because I don't direct anything that I don't write. And if I wrote it, that means odds are there are dozens, if not hundreds of pages about that character that I know already. Some of that I will put into a description of the character, into a blurb, a few paragraphs that I give to the actor. But do you remember how long we talked about Veronica and her history before you played her?
Yeah.
Because I needed you to know where she was coming from. Because I knew, because I've been an actor, I knew that you need that because it's going to inform your performance.
Because at the end of the day, for voice actors, that's for voice actors or any actor in any situation. Understanding your character's backstory is, at least to me, paramount to giving a good performance. And if you make up a backstory, like you were talking about where a scene fits into the story and what it's trying to accomplish. So I know in film school, I didn't go to film school, but my understanding is that every scene has to get the plot forward and add information that's important. And if it doesn't do that, usually it gets cut because you just don't need to spend that kind of time when you're trying to get a 30-minute episode out or an hour-long episode.
The only advice that I have ever given to another director, ever, because I hate giving advice because every situation is so different. But the only advice that I've ever given to somebody else who was going to direct actors is hear what they've got before you fuck with it. Because they may have something better than what you think. You may have your picture for this, but they may have a better picture. So hear what they've got first, then tweak it and dial it. Don't try to pre-perform them.
Yeah, use what they're giving you before you show them what you want. Because you're right. A lot of times if I've got an idea of the way I want to try something, and usually at this point I've been doing it long enough that I can say, hey, first I do what they want. And then I'll say, hey, would you mind if I tried something a little different here? And then I'll go back and show them my idea. But yeah, it's usually helpful within a session if you can get a little bit of yours and listen to theirs. And then you usually, I feel like, at least for Veronica, there was a little bit of meat in the middle, because once I latched onto that character and her attitude, it was like minor adjustments. And then I really understood how the entire rest of the world worked. But you also did give me like hours worth of explanations about the backstory, and you had written it and knew it inside and out yourself. So it does change a little bit, like when you have that much backstory. But I felt like you had found one sample of mine, like just one out of the like hundreds that I had online. And you were like, oh, she gets my style of humor. This is the girl, you know?
Goat Simulator.
Yes. And that was all it took to get that gig. So if you are a voiceover actor and you have a script that really fits your personality and you feel like you get that tone, I don't care who tells you it's a bad idea, unless it's like horribly offensive. And even then, like, sometimes it still works. But unless it's something you really shouldn't post online or anywhere or say, like, if something fits you, then just do that, record it, put it out as a sample, because the thing that's going to feel most genuinely you is going to lead you to the projects that are going to most genuinely fit you. And when you cast the right person, Dennis can verify, there's very little directing work that you probably will have to do.
That is correct. And I will also say, like what we were just talking about the actor having a better idea than what the director had in mind to begin with. Like, I can point to Kevin Michael Richardson. I can point to Jim Cummings. I can point to Mark Meir. I can point to Tara Sands. I can point to Veronica Taylor. Veterans that, of course, they're going to have better ideas than me. They've been doing it forever. There was still direction. Sometimes we had to go in a different way, but they had great ideas that I would never have thought of. But Michael Mathewson, same thing. He added a whole layer to a character that I wrote and he had never done that before. He was a rookie and he was amazing. It's not just experience. It's the ability to tap into the character, to tap into your imagination, to deliver that performance without fear. Give the truth of that character for that scene, that moment, and the ability to take direction.
What would you say? Would you say a strong improv background is like a great way to become a flexible actor, voice actor, whatever?
Oh, it certainly can be. Yeah. Not always, but yeah, in general. I can think of a couple of people with strong improv backgrounds that I worked with on Veronica, that one in particular that I will never work with ever again.
Do you have any other suggestions for newer voice actors, like on how to become better at being flexible? Because for me, if I'm a flexible person, most of it comes from improv. And honestly, growing up in a big family that was a little chaotic, that always helps you learn to pivot fast.
Okay, well, there's two sides to this coin. In general, somebody who's directing you and giving you a note, it's not personal. It's the project. You know what I mean? It's not an attack on you or your ability or any. You wouldn't have gotten cast if you didn't have the talent and the ability. If they didn't already appreciate you, you wouldn't be there. They already respect you. The other side of that coin, though, is there are people that are just shitbag directors that do mean to make it personal and are just assholes and you know what? Fuck them, don't work with them.
Well, it's true. And I think for a lot of beginner actors, they end up just like beginner anything, right? Like, you are going to take some of the jobs that aren't going to be the most fun because you either need the money or you're just getting into the industry and you're just taking whatever is getting tossed to you. But specifically, like for me, it was one of my core missions was to avoid doing things that I did not want to do. And I don't mind doing a variety of things, right? But like for me, I didn't want to do like no adult stuff, like when it came to like voiceover things, because you'd be surprised by the amount of people that are like they only want you for that X-rated stuff when they hear your voice. Like maybe you have a great voice for that, but maybe it's something you don't want to do, or maybe you just hate doing, ads related to smoking, or maybe you just hate doing audiobooks or whatever. You don't have to take every project. Like it's not necessary to have a successful voiceover career or acting career to take every single project. And sometimes I think it can actually mess you up to take too many projects that are just, you're just trying to pay the bills, because you might miss out on that one that really fits you, that's really going to advance your career, and that's going to showcase your talent.
Well, I have cast people. I like you mentioned, I cast you from Goat Simulator because that was perfect. That performance, the seriousness with the tongue in cheek, the humor without the laughter. There were so many parts of that gave that the wise ass quality that I needed that character to have. I mean, that I heard what could be Veronica in that performance.
And that was the only thing, like I literally heard that on my boyfriend at the time was I think he was playing Goat Simulator, and I was like, this is hilarious. And I looked up a commercial for it, and I was like, this is great. I love this humor, and I just want to do this. So I was working with Tommy Griffith. He was great. He wrote a bunch of, he found scripts that worked for my voice, and he did a bunch, and he like recorded a whole demo for me and coached me through it, and he coached me through a bunch of different things to teach me how to work on like with the microphone and breath and everything. And I found this thing, and I was like, Tommy, I love this, and this is so me. Can we please do this? And that's what got me cast here, and that's what got me working with like Mark Neer and Jim Cummings and all these great people. So that's kind of where I feel like people need to beginning voiceover people need to understand that, yes, you are going to be going for commercials. Yes, you're going to be going for things that aren't going to be as fun, but might pay the bills. But you should keep your artistic ears on for things that fit you, that you just connect with, that make you laugh, that you want to do. Because if those are the projects and the work that you want, then you should be showcasing that so that people can hire you off of that for projects that you're going to enjoy being on. Like Veronica.
There's an actress that you worked with on a project for me that I know for a fact you know well, this actress, who, when I cast her, had done a lot of voice work, but had never done any voice acting. She had only ever done commercials, marketing materials, phone service stuff. She had been in a ukulele cover band that was hysterical.
She's funny.
And I learned from listening to the music and listening to her interactions, talking in between the songs, the little outtakes and stuff they left in. I was like, oh no, there's an actress in there. That performance, I want, and so I want to hire you, but I don't want to hire you to narrate. I don't want marketing voice. I want you to act. And she's like, well, I've never acted. That's not the kind of voice work I do. Well, you can. I've heard it.
You're like, no,
you have the voice I'm looking for. That's the voice of this character that I need, and I haven't been able to find it, and you've got it.
And she was amazing.
Yes.
And I ended up loving her, and we talk often, even though she lives on the other side of the country from me. So that's the other piece of like art, that it connects you with people that you otherwise would never have met. And when you find somebody that you vibe with and that you really get along with and connect with, like it can really expand just your personal network, just unbelievably so. And you're really only connecting over something that is really fun, usually.
Yeah, I struggle to think how you and Mackenzie would ever have met, for instance.
Yeah,
but but you're playing mother and daughter in this project we've got coming up, and that both of you are equally excited that the other one is playing the other part.
Yeah, because I mentioned her when for the next project coming up can I talk about the name of it?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's called Lonesome Pines right now, or is that a working title?
It's called Lonesome Pines Homestead.
Lonesome Pines Homestead. So when I was reading it, it's got a very Interview with a Vampire style in terms of the way that it's set up, because you're telling a story from a future point and like looking back and remembering this whole story. And it's about a girl and her mom who moved to the woods, more or less. And when I started reading it, I was like, oh my gosh, is Mackenzie playing my mom? And you were like, no. And I was like, oh. You're like, but we haven't cast her yet. And then sure enough, like a couple of days later, Dennis was like, oh, guess who's playing your mom? And I was like, I don't know who. And he's like, Mackenzie. And I was like, oh.
And equally, when she read the materials and read for the part and said that we had our discussions, and she was on board. We're getting information for contracts, and she's on board. She's part of the project. One of the first questions was, is Claire playing my daughter?
We were meant to be.
I just feel lucky every day that I get to do what I do, and that I get to work with the talented people that I get to work with.
Me too. Like you. So I'm Claire Coyle for ClaireCoyleVoiceover.com. And this is Dennis Sharp. I am a professional voiceover actress, and I work on audiobooks, audio dramas, and I'm really enjoying specifically audiobooks and audio dramas right now, but also character work, cartoons, video games, explainers, corporate, what have you. I've been in the industry for 12 years now and working steadily. So that is me and my background. And Dennis?
I'm Dennis Sharp. I'm with Unbrandable Media. I'm also with Witless Fiction. I'm an author of books. I am a director and writer for audio dramas. I'm a director of independent film. I've been working in the creative arts since 1996. So, oh my God, I'm old. But I've finally reached that point in my career where I get to pick the projects that I want to do. I get to write the projects that I want to do, and I get to cast the people I want to work with.
But it was a pleasure talking with you today, Dennis. Thank you for sitting down with me, or standing up. I'm not really sure since you're not on camera, but I assume you're sitting down.
I am, in fact.
Well, thank you for taking the time, and I hope that this is helpful to aspiring voiceover actors and actors in general, that you got something from this. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and let me know what content you would like to see. Like, what do you want to learn about? Or what kind of samples and projects would you like me to highlight? So have a great day. Thank you for joining us, and I'll catch you later.